Imagine a world free of car emissions where electric vehicles rule the roads, but wait, are electric vehicles really the future? We're living in an era where electric vehicles, or EVs as they are commonly known, are all the rage. They've become the poster child for eco-friendly transportation, and it seems like every day we're bombarded with news of the latest model, the most innovative technology, or the most ambitious plans for an electrified future. It's a wave of enthusiasm that's sweeping across nations, and it's hard not to get caught up in the excitement. Electric cars are hailed as the answer to our environmental woes. The internal combustion engine, we're told, is a relic of the past, and the electric motor is the future. Sleek, silent, and emission-free, these vehicles are painted as the superheroes of the transport world. The knight in shining armor that's come to save us from the perils of climate change. And it's not just the environmentalists who are sold on the idea. Governments and corporations are jumping on the bandwagon too. Subsidies and incentives are being dished out left, right and centre, and production of electric vehicles is ramping up at a frenetic pace. The message seems clear. If you're not part of the electric revolution, you're being left behind. But here's the thing, is this all just a hype? Are electric vehicles really the panacea that they're made out to be, or could they be a red herring? A distraction from the real issues at hand. Sure, they're clean and green when they're out on the road, but what about the energy it takes to produce them, to charge them, to maintain them? And what about the challenges of infrastructure, cost and battery life? These are the questions that often get swept under the rug in the clamour for electrification. But they're questions that need to be asked. And they're questions that we're going to explore in this video. Are we witnessing a genuine revolution in transportation? Or are we all just victims of a well-marketed fantasy? Could it be that we're all just victims of a well-marketed fantasy? Let's dive deeper. Electric vehicles, green, clean and eco-friendly, right? Well, not necessarily. Let's delve into the environmental impact of electric vehicles and challenge the notion that they're entirely green. When we talk about electric cars, we often focus on the tailpipe emissions, or rather the lack thereof. But that's just one piece of the puzzle. To understand the real environmental impact, we need to look at the entire life cycle of an electric vehicle. This includes not only the car's operation, but also its manufacturing process and disposal. Think about it. In order to charge all these electric vehicles, we would need an enormous amount of charging stations. But do we have them? We're jumping headfirst into the infrastructure challenge of electric vehicles. And it's a big one. It's like having a mobile phone but no place to charge it. Unthinkable, isn't it? That's the same predicament we face with electric vehicles today. Consider this. The number of electric vehicles on the road is predicted to reach nearly 250 million by the end of this decade. Now imagine the scale of charging infrastructure required to support this fleet. It's not just about peppering the landscape with charging stations. It's also about the capacity of our power grids to handle this additional load. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, cost. Are electric vehicles really economically viable? The million-dollar question, or should we say the $25,000 question. That's the average starting price for a new electric vehicle. Not exactly pocket change, is it? But let's not be hasty. There's more to the cost of a car than the price tag at the dealership. Let's talk maintenance. Traditional gasoline vehicles come with a laundry list of parts that need regular care and feeding. Oil changes, spark plugs, exhaust systems, the list goes on. Electric vehicles, on the other hand, are a bit more streamlined. Fewer moving parts mean fewer things that can go wrong. But here's the kicker. When something does go wrong, it can be pricey to fix. Electric vehicles run on batteries, but what about their lifespan and the cost to replace them? Picture this. You've just purchased your shiny new electric vehicle, and you're excited about all the environmental benefits and fuel savings it promises. But like all good things, the battery life of an electric vehicle also comes with an expiry date. Now you might be wondering, how long do these batteries actually last? Well, on average, electric vehicle batteries can last anywhere from 8 to 15 years. However, this lifespan heavily depends on factors such as how often the vehicle is used, the driving conditions, and how well the battery is maintained. But here's the kicker. When the battery does eventually need replacing, it can cost a small fortune. Depending on the make and model of your vehicle, A new battery could set you back anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000. Yes, you heard that right. That's a significant amount of dough that could potentially negate any savings you might have made from not filling up at the petrol station. And let's not forget about the environmental impact. While electric vehicles themselves produce zero emissions, the production and disposal of their batteries can have a substantial environmental footprint. The process of mining the raw materials needed for these batteries, such as lithium, cobalt and nickel, can lead to deforestation, water pollution and harm to wildlife. And when these batteries reach the end of their lifespan, they can't just be thrown in your regular household recycling bin. They need to be disposed of correctly to prevent harmful chemicals from leaking into the environment. So, while electric vehicles may seem like a cost-effective and environmentally friendly option at first glance, the reality is a bit more complicated. The cost of replacing the battery and the environmental impact of its production and disposal are significant factors that need to be considered. The battery life and replacement cost could be a major roadblock in the widespread adoption of electric vehicles. If not electric vehicles, then what? Are there other alternatives that could be the future? Well, let's dive into that, shall we? First up on the potential future alternatives is the hydrogen fuel cell vehicle. Imagine a car that only emits water. Sounds like science fiction, doesn't it? Well, it's not. Hydrogen fuel cell vehicles are real and they're here. These vehicles run on hydrogen gas and emit only water vapor and warm air. They're as clean as it gets. But the technology is still in its infancy and the cost and infrastructure challenges are significant. However, given the pace of technological advancement, hydrogen fuel cell vehicles could become a viable alternative in the not-so-distant future. Next, we have biofuel vehicles. Biofuels are made from organic materials such as plants and waste, which are renewable resources. The beauty of biofuels is that they can be used in existing internal combustion engines with little to no modifications. This could be a game changer, as it eliminates the need for a complete overhaul of the world's vehicle fleet and fuel infrastructure. But the sustainability of biofuels is a subject of debate, as the production process can have significant environmental impacts. Lastly, let's not forget about our old friend, the traditional gasoline vehicle. Yes, it's been the mainstay of transportation for over a century, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. With advancements in technology, gasoline vehicles are becoming more fuel efficient and less polluting. The introduction of hybrid technology, which combines a gasoline engine with an electric motor, has further improved fuel efficiency and reduced emissions. So, while electric vehicles have been getting all the attention, there are other alternatives quietly making their mark. The future of transportation is not set in stone. It's a dynamic landscape that's constantly evolving, with new technologies and innovations emerging all the time. It's clear that the future of transportation might not be as electric as we've been led to believe. So are electric vehicles really the future? Let's summarize. We've taken quite a journey today, haven't we? We've popped the hood on the electric car hype, examined the environmental impact, and looked at the infrastructural challenges. We've counted the cost, weighed the battery life conundrum, and explored the potential alternatives. Now let's hit the brakes for a moment and think about what we've learned. Electric vehicles, though heralded as the transportation of tomorrow, have their fair share of speed bumps to navigate. They're not as green as we'd like to think, with their manufacturing process and battery disposal posing significant environmental challenges. We've also seen that the infrastructure needed to support a world of electric vehicles is, to put it mildly, a gargantuan task. Charging stations are not as ubiquitous as petrol stations, and the power grid itself might groan under the weight of millions of vehicles plugging in. Then there's the cost. Electric vehicles continue to be significantly more expensive than their petrol and diesel counterparts, and while battery technology is improving, the lifespan of these batteries and the cost to replace them remain serious considerations. But let's not forget about the alternatives. We've touched upon the potential of hydrogen fuel cells, biofuels, and even the humble bicycle. These alternatives, though not without their own challenges, offer us a wider range of solutions to meet our transportation needs. So where does that leave us? Do we abandon the idea of electric vehicles altogether? Not necessarily. Electric vehicles have their merits. They're quiet, they're efficient, and they're a step in the right direction towards reducing our carbon footprint. But as we've seen, they are not the be-all and end-all solution to our transportation needs. While electric vehicles have their merits, it's evident that they are not the be-all and end-all solution to our transportation needs. And on that note, we conclude our journey into the future of transportation. Until next time, keep the conversation going. The road to the future is paved with ideas, and yours might just be the next big thing.